Let's talk Chaturanga. It's that one notorious move that we all do in a flow class that we love, but we hate. It's hard, it hurts sometimes. What is the point of it? All these things. I'd say over the last year or so, or probably longer, I've had this love-hate relationship with it. As a yoga teacher, sometimes I've thrown out Chaturanga completely. I'm like, I'm not teaching this anymore. People don't know how to do this. You're just collapsing. You're going to hurt yourself. And then I go through times where I'm like, no, I need to teach people how to strengthen, and we take baby steps and we warm up, and then that takes also a lot of time away from a class. And when you only have an hour, it's really difficult to have a Chaturanga mini workshop every single time, especially if you have new people coming to your class. I can't explain this each time because people just start to wander off and get annoyed. So I had to come up with a solution. And so what I started doing was encouraging what I would call a full range chaturanga. So I find that that is much more accessible to most people. So what I mean by full range is that instead of stopping at that perfect, 90-degree bend in your elbow, you just come down to the floor and then you push yourself back up, whether it's into just a cobra or whether it's into a upward dog. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And what I find again is that the lowering phase of just a regular push-up is easier, or I shouldn't say the word easier, but more accessible. Let's just use that because it's the pushing off phase that most people find a little bit more difficult, or it's that hovering that like I said, that if you're at that 90-degree awkward and then you have to push through into your up dog. This is where we get a lot of collapsing into the core, the shoulders, and things like that. But if you lower down with control, pause, kind of regroup yourself, regroup the core, the shoulders, and then continue into whatever back bend you're going to do, it, I find that in students that I'm looking at, you can actually get into it much more smoothly, and you can find the muscle. It gives you that time at the bottom to find the muscles that you actually need to get into the pose that you want to a little bit more effectively. So what it looks like. So from the knees first, I'll just hop onto my toes. You're in your plank. You're going to drop down to your knees, shift forward a little bit, lower down with control. So draw the belly in. See if you can land the thighs, belly, chest to the floor at the same time. And then you can untuck your toes. You can stay here and just lift into a cobra. Or if you want to come into up dog, then just really roll the shoulders back, draw the elbows in, push off the floor, and lift the hips. And then you can drop the knees again and step back into downward dog from there. And so that if you were doing that lowering halfway down like most classes do. So you shift forward, you're going to come down, and then most people end up they drop, they collapse in the shoulders um, on their way through to an up dog. But by dropping down, we can, again, because we're on the floor is supporting us. We use the floor as a prop. It's an amazing prop. You're pushing away and re-engaging the core and the back muscles. And then your upward dog feels a lot more secure and strong. You're not completely collapsing in your hips, and your shoulders feel a little bit happier. So the biggest thing that I would say when you're choosing which variation, I would try both. I always start most of my classes with everybody doing the knees, and it's just that nice way to kind of tune in and see how everything's feeling. If you notice that you're collapsing a little bit, just draw up and in and see if you can land everything together. And then again, regrouping here, you can choose your variation. That up dog, you want to push the floor away, push the chest through the arms, lift up. Make sure you're not really dumping into the back. So lift those hips up and then take it back for a downward dog. If you're on your toes, same thing. Just lower with control. Try to land all together and then regroup with the hands, the back, and the core. Lift and then take it back. So if you're curious about that, give it a try. See if it feels any different, any more stable or secure in your body, and let me know.